Hi, and welcome to Gen Friends. I'm so excited to have everybody here today. We have a wonderful panel that I'd like to introduce to you. We have Cheri O'Connell, who is the Executive Director of the In-Depth Genealogist. Hey, Cheri.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Next across the panel is Melissa Barker, the archive lady. She's in the house tonight. We're so excited to have her back. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, hello.
Good to have you. We have Mary Kircher-Roddy from MKR Genealogy. Hi, Mary.
Hi there.
And we have a very, very special guest with us. And we're so grateful that Katherine Willson is joining us tonight. You may know Katherine from her Facebook list with almost 12,000 links to Facebook groups and pages to help you with your genealogy. But she has come tonight to talk to us about the Virtual Genealogy Society that has just started, and she's the president. So she's going to be talking to us about that. Hi, Katherine. How are you?
Great, thank you.
So good to have you here. Before we talk to Katherine, we're going to talk real quick about the last two episodes of Long Lost Family that we missed because of last week's special guest with the red team. So we are going to talk about those real quick, and then we'll go back to Katherine, and she can explain all about the Virtual Genealogy Society. So on the May 5th episode, we had, if I can find my paperwork, we had Monica and Lisa, who had been adopted as infants. And the interesting thing about their story was they were adopted by the same family. So the first family had the older sister, and then the birth mom got pregnant again and called the adoption agency, and they said, oh, they're looking for another baby. So the sister was adopted by this family, and the younger sister had wanted to find her birth mom. Not so much for the older sister. She really didn't care to find her birth mom, but she decided she was going to support her sister. So what did you think about this story, Cheri?
You know, I thought it was a good story. I thought, first of all, it was wonderful that the two biological sisters were adopted by the same family.
Right.
And Monica not wanting to meet the biological mother was kind of interesting because the one didn't, the other obviously didn't. But I found it fascinating that when they did, she seemed like she was the one who had the most emotions out of it.
She was, yeah. I think it touched her once she finally, it was a reality to her that she was able to meet this biological mom. And so, and to find out, because they had been told that their biological parents were married, and they couldn't figure out why when you're married, why would you give up two children? And then it turns out they weren't married, and she was still in high school when she had these kids. And so she just couldn't take care of them. And I think that really turned the tide for her.
I think a part of it is probably that maybe she was afraid of the rejection. So if she went her whole life thinking, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Right. She was shielding her own emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mary, will you talk to us for a few minutes about how they were able to find the tools and the skills that they use on the show to find people? Not maybe necessarily this case, but how do they do this?
So I watched the show a week ago, and I didn't get a chance.
That's what I said. Not necessarily maybe these people, but in general, how do they do this?
They use different techniques that they are. They might have some paperwork from the adoption that might give a name. Mm-hmm. Often DNA is involved. Almost always the DNA is involved. And so they're kind of able to narrow it to a family. And then they can look at the obituaries or something that might say, list all the kids, and they can kind of then map out the family structure to say, okay, well, we're looking for a 17-year-old girl, so it's probably this one here.
Right.
So they do that. They look at yearbooks. I mean, it really is some very interesting techniques, and I like to watch because I apply those in my own work.
Exactly. Some of these skills that they're using, we can learn from. We can watch and say, how do they do that? Oh, look at that thought process. They found this family, the names, and then they went to that obituary and looked at the names and figured out which one may have been old enough, and so it's just very interesting how and then they make that phone call. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine making that phone call. The second story for the May 5th episode was Shadow's story, and Shadow had been taken from her biological parents and put into foster care when she was 5. And she had a memory of her father, and she wanted to find her father. Now, the memory she was taken, actually, her father left, and she was still with her mom, and they were living out of a car, and it was her school teachers that noticed that there was a problem. And she was pulled away from her mom because she didn't have clothes, she didn't have food. They could tell she hadn't had a shower, in days. And so they took her out. But she had this memory of her father, and she wanted to find him. She'd been through 28 foster homes. 28 foster homes.
That's just heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
She was adopted by a friend's mom. And so I thought that was wonderful. As she was, I believe she was a teenager at that point. That she
I
was
think that's what I recall. Yeah.
by her friend's mom. And so they were able to locate the father, and they were able to reunite. And apparently he had other family, and he said, I'm here for you now. So I'm excited to introduce you to all the rest of the family. So,
Right, and they're only a few hours apart, I think.
yeah. That always amazes me about these stories too. And people will say, we've been looking for years and we couldn't find each other. And sometimes they're just within 20 minutes and they haven't been able to find each other. So I just think it's incredible, some of these stories. And then we had last night's. Did you want to say something else, Cheri?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. So then we had last night's, and we had Kristen, and Kristen was adopted as an infant. Her mother was 13 when she got pregnant with Kristen, and 14 when she gave birth. And so she was placed for adoption. They said that she was in the nursery, and it said, do not take to the mother. And I just thought that was so sad.
Yeah.
That is heartbreaking, and I think sometimes I've actually worked with some birth moms before, and some of them can't handle it. They don't want, and so that could have been a choice of the birth mom at that time. It may not have been, but sometimes they give them the choice. A lot of hospitals, do you want to hold your baby, or do you not? And so it just depends on what they feel that like they can handle.
Mm-hmm.
So they went on a search for her birth mom, and they were able to find her. And the birth mom had this terrible life, to the point where she didn't even know who the biological father may have been. She said that time period in her life is like a blur. I can't imagine a 13-year-old having that kind of life that she can't even remember.
Her parents just were not attentive.
No.
They didn't even know she was out.
Yeah. And she started that lifestyle when she was 12.
Yeah.
Just heartbreaking, And so, I'm grateful that she did give her up for adoption, because can you imagine her bringing that baby into that kind of situation? The baby at one point probably would have been pulled out at some time, and put into foster care, and she would not have had the life, because she had quite the good life. She had, horseback riding lessons, every kind of lessons you can think of she had, and she was very happy.
Her first horse at 9.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting too that she said she didn't feel like she was having to fill a hole. She just wanted to know.
It was interesting to me that her own daughter, it was coming close to age 13. And so she was just trying to envision what that would be like.
Yeah. And I like the fact too that she wanted her biological mom and her adoptive parents to meet, and her adoptive mom was going through cancer treatment, so she wanted to get this process going and to find her. She had tried before and she couldn't. So and then when they did find her and they met, she was up for it. Her biological mom wanted to meet the adoptive parents and she was telling her, what really got me with the story is she was saying, I feel like that I was part of the bad time in my biological mom's life. Like it was her fault that she was conceived. And I was like, oh my gosh, and she apologized to her for being a hard part of her life. I felt so bad for her, but she thanked her biological mom for choosing to give her up. And I'm finding that in most of these stories, that's what they want. They want to say thank you.
Yeah. And so often the mothers say, you don't need to say that.
Mm-hmm. But they do. The adoptees feel like, yeah, I do. Because if it wasn't for that choice, I wouldn't have had the life that I had. Because they probably understand that the life that they would have had they kept him would have not been as good. It would have been a lot more hardships.
Yeah.
The other story was Joey. And Joey did feel that that hole, and he wanted to, fill that hole. And part of that was because at 17, he'd come out to his adoptive parents, and they took it well. It was hard at first, he said, but everything was fine now. But he was afraid. He said that he hated his birthdays because he didn't know who his biological family was, and it brought that back every time he had a birthday. So he wanted to find her. Yeah. So go ahead, Mary.
No, well, and his husband echoed that sentiment at the end of the show, which was really, really touching.
Yeah. And Mary, go ahead. Tell him about the picture that she brought when the biological mom.
Well, it was interesting because Lisa had said to the mom, Joey is afraid. He has something that he's not sure how you're going to take. But Lisa did not tell her what it was. And then Joey and his mom met. And just as an aside, I was watching last night and it cut out before the crucial moment. My recording stopped and it was like, what? So I had to wait till this morning to be able to catch up and hear him tell his mom what he needed to tell her, that he came out to his parents when he was 17 and that it was hard, but it worked out okay. And she brought out a picture and she said, my oldest brother was I don't know, that way too, or gay, whatever she said.
Yeah, she didn't say gay. She said something. Yeah. She said he was she said, I always knew because he had the blonde hair and the long eyelashes and I thought it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
So, and that she had always known.
And she was very close to her brother. And so that was, so it made it really easy for him to say that and feel the acceptance. It wasn't just, that's okay. I mean, she was able to demonstrate by example that it didn't make any difference in her life. It's about the love between the people. Right. And so that was great.
That was great. For him, it was a double whammy. Is she going to reject me, number one, as my birth mom? But then number two, when she finds out I'm gay, oh my gosh, will she even want to talk to me? So that was wonderful to see that she could accept that and they could have, a relationship. And hopefully they do. Hopefully it will continue and they can bond and
he said, do you want to meet my husband? And she said, I'd love to. And then with the husband, she said, can I hug you? And so that was great too.
Exactly. Things that she didn't have to do, She didn't have to do that. Cheri, did you have anything you wanted to say about any of those stories?
Well, the one thing I found interesting on this week's episode is we're finding out a little bit more about Lisa and Chris's stories. So when Lisa was talking to Joey and he said, I just want to thank her, she said, I thanked my mom too.
Exactly.
And then he asked her, and did you feel better? Did you feel relief? And she said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great that they're giving, because we don't know their stories. We just know that they found their adoptive or their biological parents.
Right.
So it's great to see these little pieces coming out.
Right. I agree with you because I noticed that same thing and I was like, oh yeah, she's sharing more than she's ever done before. Before she would say, I understand how you feel. And that'd be about it, because I went through this process, but then cut it off at that. So you really didn't hear anymore. So I don't know, maybe throughout the season, we'll learn a little bit more about their stories. And I wonder if they'll do an episode where they talk about their stories. That would be interesting. Well, ladies, I would like to go and talk to Katherine now. I think
me too.
We will put away Long Lost Family for tonight, and
I don't know how you guys watch that. I didn't watch it. I'm getting all teared up about these stories. That would just rip my heart out every single week.
They're hard. They can be really hard to watch. Yeah. Oh, so okay. Let's take a breath. And let's talk about the Virtual Genealogy Society. So tell me about it. Where did this idea come from, and how did you How'd you end up president? This is wonderful. I love this.
Yeah, so I'm the president for the Michigan Genealogical Council, and I'm involved with some other boards, Genealogy Society boards. And I felt like over the last year, I kept hearing a lot of societies talk about two things. One was, why can't we bring new members in? You know, it seemed like it was a focus for so many of the societies. And then the other one was, why aren't we getting younger members? And I just kept hearing this again and again and again. And I would try to brainstorm about, well, what can we do about this? And one night I just thought, well, wait a minute. Why do we keep talking about why aren't they coming to us? Why aren't we saying, let's go to them, right? Let's go out and meet them where they're at. And so I started brainstorming about that. And I was talking to my husband, and I was talking to some friends. And I called Christine Woodcock, and I said, you know, I have this idea. And I started talking it through. And I knew that I would not be the best person for the technological part of it because I don't know how to run webinars. I mean, it was funny that you invited me onto a Hangout, and I'm like, wait, what? What do I do? How do I do this? What equipment do I need? And I knew that Christine has all that experience because she does a lot with her work. And then I started thinking about who do I know that can do website stuff? Who do I know that it knows how to do mailing lists, you know, all the different things that I knew we would need to have, but I couldn't do myself. And it just sort of snowballed. I don't think we initially planned on announcing it until we were at FGS. And then as it got closer to NGS, we thought, well, wait a minute, we're ready. We have everything. We're ready to go. Let's just announce it. Yeah. And truthfully, we knew, all of us who are on the board of directors, we knew that this was going to meet who have mobility issues and can't get to meetings, the people whose life circumstances, for whatever reason, doesn't allow them to go to their local meetings. People who might be really, really shy about going to the first time because they don't know what to expect. I completely understand that. We knew that there was this need, but we had no idea that it would move this quickly, this fast. So in retrospect, I'm not entirely sure that announcing it right before NGS was the best idea because I wasn't home, so I couldn't stay on top of all of this. You know, I'm over in Grand Rapids, and it just exploded. I think, what was it, Cheri? I think it was like 500 members by day 3. And like now we're up to just over 1,000, maybe 1,050 or something. And we're not even 3 weeks old. That to me is astonishing. What, Cheri?
That NGS weekend was crazy.
Yeah, it was really incredible. And at NGS there was Society Night, and I was pretty involved with that, you know, for Michigan Genealogical Council, and then I was helping our local societies do table sharing, and we were coordinating. Let's have a table for Virtual Genealogical Society. And it was insane. I met so many incredible people and some great questions. And there were some really good questions that made me think about things that we hadn't yet thought of. Mm-hmm. You know, so Cheri and Tammy Mize have been doing a lot of work on, what's that thing in Europe, Cheri, that you guys are working on, that privacy thing?
The GDPR?
Yeah, like I didn't even know about this. I had no idea what they were talking about. And thank God the board has people who are really, really good at specific things. So we can each, you know, do what we really enjoy doing and what we're good at doing.
Well, I think it's a fabulous idea. You know, like you said, you've got people that can't get to meetings. I mean, I've got a little club here that I love going to, and we keep getting more and more people.
Yeah.
But everything else, you know, I'm in Myrtle Beach, and we're far away from everybody else. We don't even have a freeway. It takes me, you know, 3 hours to get to Columbia. So, yeah. So, it's nice for people like me to be able to, you know, join this and be a part of this big society. So I'm really excited.
And you know, there's also this whole other population too. I've been teaching genealogy classes here in Ann Arbor for about 15 years, and there's this younger population that's coming into my classes where they aren't even using computers. Everything's done on their phone.
Yes.
Everything. And so I'm seeing some of these students pull up the Ancestry app and they're showing me their trees on their app and they're looking at records on the phone.
Right.
And I thought, well, you know what? When we talk about those younger members, bringing in those younger members, I just turned 50 and I'm still the youngest member at most of my societies, and the younger people, they don't want to hang out with us. We're all old, right? We're all old and they just don't want to hang out with old people. And so this is something that they can get on their device, whatever, their phone, their tablet, their laptop, and just meet up and get the education, the socializing, the networking, and cross each of those barriers,
Exactly. And, I know that you're going to have people speak, we're going to have different webinars and things. And I'm thinking, there's a lot of us that have, I've spoken locally a lot and I haven't gotten brave enough yet to do something nationally. This might help a lot of us too. Start having those kind of experiences.
Yeah, we're going to send out a call for proposal. We wanted to set up the first 6 months? Not quite 6 months. We wanted to set that up first so that we could have promotional material to give people. And even really before we thought about this whole Virtual Genealogical Society, first thought was we were going to do a virtual conference. That was our first thought. We're going to do this 3-day virtual conference in 2019. We knew it would take a long time to put together and do the planning. And then the more we started brainstorming, we're like, wait a minute, you know what? There's a bigger need. We actually have a need for a society here. But both for the conference in 2019 and then for the first 6 months of the society, we were reaching out to speakers specifically that we knew were engaging and dynamic and really, really good at getting their point across, because you can be engaging and dynamic and not have good methodology, and you could have good methodology and not be engaging and dynamic. So we really sought the people that we thought would do really well with all of that so we could put the first 6 months together.
Yeah.
And then we're sending out a call for proposals, and it's exactly what you said, right? A lot of us, we're not doing the national stuff because maybe we can't afford to travel or the societies can't afford to bring us. And I love the idea that this will be a potential springboard for people that could have both engaging and dynamic presenting skills and amazing genealogy methodology. And we're going to find them and be able to show them to the world through this.
Yeah.
I think not just the nation. It's international.
It's international, which I love.
The world.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, I counted right before the program, I counted the number of countries, and there's 16 or 17. I'm not sure about the 17th one because I don't know if the person who reached out to me paid their dues already or if they were just talking about it. But 16 or 17 countries, that's phenomenal.
That is wonderful. And the things that we can...
Sorry?
In less than a month.
In less than a month. Not even, we're not even 3 weeks old,
That in and of itself shows you that there was a big need.
Absolutely.
You haven't had to beg people to join. Yeah. There was a need. And it is true
that we're doing some things differently. We got an email from someone who said that they were a little concerned that we're doing things differently than what's usually done. And this was specifically in terms of the 2019 conference that we're going to do, the 3-day. Because usually you don't have, for a big conference, you don't have somebody asking every speaker, will you speak? You put out a call for proposals. And you also usually don't have the whole list that you're showing everybody until you have all the signed contracts. And that was pretty disturbing to one of the people that we reached out to. And I said, I totally get where you're coming from. I understand the concern. But the people we reached out to, we know, all of us on the board, we've served on our own societies, we've done programming, we know these speakers, we know that we can count on them. And our business model is absolutely not going to be, we'll do it because that's the way it's always been done. That's just not our business model.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the whole point. This is something that hasn't been done before. And so how are we going to bring in new people if we continue to always do things the way they've been done? So I applaud you. So how many people do you have working with you? How many people are on the board?
So we have, if you go to our website, virtualgensoc.com, right there on the front page, we have the list of everybody who has, started with the board of directors. It has Christine Woodcock, it has Terry O'Connell, Lisa Alzo, Tammy Mize, and Gina Filibert Ortega. And it was the really good thing about this core group is that we all do speaking.
Yes.
And so we knew that at the very least we could do presentations without having to like pay ourselves if we didn't get a lot of members. Well, now we're not even worried about that. There's going to be plenty to pay all the speakers, and I think we're pretty much set for the conference in 2019.
That's fabulous. That's
Yeah.
fabulous. I'm looking forward to all of it. So
it's such a fun group to work with too, and we each are bringing really different skills to the table. I mean, again, my tech skills are really limited, and I think that's pretty funny, right? I probably, if your tech skills are not limited, you shouldn't create the Virtual Genealogical Society, unless you know people who can do what you don't know. And I felt like that's what I had. I knew who had the skills to make up what I lacked.
So what are you looking for now? Are you still looking for help? Let's get a plug out for what you do.
Oh my gosh. Cheri, where do we start?
Well, this is your chance.
Yeah, well, so right now, our biggest focus right now is we are going to have chapters. So there will be state chapters here in the US. There will be country chapters. For some of the countries that are really big, there might be like the North chapter and the South chapter or something like that. But what we have to figure out right now is how we're going to do those chapters. You know, what are we asking of the chapter leaders? What are we going to do on our website to help them? Because we're talking about potentially 60 to 70 chapters, and we don't want 60 to 70 people all playing on the website, right? We have to have more control over the website. So that's something that we're really trying to work on right now. Terry and I were just talking earlier, we're pretty certain that we need to hire a virtual assistant because it's been a full-time job. I haven't been able to do much client work at all. Some of the other society work that I should be doing, it took off so fast, which we love. We're totally excited about that. But it was a lot of work right from the beginning, just staying on top of the emails. That right there has been a full-time job. So
during NGS, I did nothing else.
Yeah, thank God
Thank
Cheri was available to do that. Oh my gosh. And we got some really great support from the vendors at NGS. So MyHeritage is so excited to work with us, and they're going to offer our members a discount on their subscriptions. There's actually a lot of vendors who are offering our members discounts, so we're excited to make that announcement with that full list. So I think that we've got so many people in so many different areas that are going to be able to offer us so much that we just need to coordinate it. That's our big job right now.
I think it's wonderful, and I think all of us on this panel, have we all signed up? Are we all members?
I think so.
I am. Mary?
I'm a member, and October 20th, I will be presenting.
All right.
I will be speaking, so I'm excited about that.
That's great.
Yes, and Mary doesn't know it yet, but she'll also be speaking in 2019.
Oh, Mary!
Yeah, we got some. One of the things that we're doing is we're really listening to what our members are asking. We have an active Facebook group and a Facebook page, and we're asking people if you can envision anything at all. Let's say the sky's the limit. There's no barriers. If you can envision anything in a society, what would be the greatest thing you could want to see? And we're not promising we can do it, but let's throw it out there, because what if we've never thought of it and we can do it? And we're also asking, what are some topics that you want to hear presenters on? And there's one that we know Mary's going to be great at. So I'll be talking to you, Mary.
Cool.
How exciting!
That's really cool. Yeah. Glad I showed up today.
I'm glad you did too. Surprise!
I thought you'd enjoy that little tidbit.
Yes.
That's great.
I have one question. So you were talking about networking. How do we network on a virtual?
So right now we have the Facebook group, and we'll have the webinars that we'll have, and I'm hoping that we're going to have some fairly active chats on the side of the webinar where we're helping people connect. But what I'm seeing so far in the Facebook group is somebody will say, I'm working on a problem for this time period in this part of Germany, and somebody else chimes in and says, oh my gosh, so am I. And they start talking back and forth, and they're sending friend requests and they're meeting other people. The one problem that we have is not everybody's on Facebook. So we have a membership that's over 1,000, and I think our Facebook group right now is only 350, 375. So we want to think about that. We want to think about what's another option. It's a lot of work to take care of that. So I want to be careful that we don't put ourselves in too many different places unless we have the help to do it. But we're absolutely open to suggestions that others have.
We found it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And keep in mind, it's not like we want to repeat what's being done. So we're not really looking at the the message board system. Like we want something new, innovative.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we find that with our club, we've got a Facebook page group, and there's so many that just won't get on Facebook.
Right.
And so we have to cross post a lot of things onto our website. So because they just won't get on Facebook, no matter how many times we try to convince them. All you got to do is just stay in that one little group. You don't have to share your grandkids' pictures. We don't have to know about your life.
Actually, that's just a really good idea. You just gave me a really good idea. Cheri, I wonder if we could add to our website something like a message board, an electronic message board that will, for the people who aren't going to go onto Facebook. I wonder if that's something we can explore.
It is doable, but the thing is then you're looking at these. It's to me they're clunky and it's old systems. So
I bet we can find something new. I bet if we look around,
find something newer. And we'll look into it. We'll look and see what we can find. What are our options that will work?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a message board on ours. All we can do is just post announcements and things and say, if you don't go and look on Facebook, to get what's going on and to talk to people, you're just going to have to go to the website to get all of our announcements. So if you do,
and we'll have a newsletter. We have a newsletter that we'll publish every month. And because we're digital, we don't have to worry about how many pages it is, right? So we can put as much as we want in that newsletter and send it out. So there's another potential opportunity for networking. And the chapters really will also be another networking opportunity, so that if you have a bunch of people who live in, upstate New York, if there's an event, a genealogy related event, have a meetup, have a VGS meetup that people are, coming to dinner or drinks or something. So I think there's a lot of possibilities.
What about special interest groups? I know you're going to break into, different countries. Are you going to try to do special interest groups, or is that going too far?
No. So Randy Whited had said that he would be interested in a DNA special interest group, which is great because that's another thing. My knowledge is so limited on DNA. So
I'm trying.
I'm not going to be in that. And Colleen Green has said that she's interested in a Hispanic special interest group. So that would be incredible. There's some people who are interested in a German special interest group. So there's a whole lot of ideas, but I think what we have to do first is we have to figure out the model for the chapters, and then we can build off that model for the special interest groups, because I think we'll use a lot of the same technology and the same principles of organization.
I think that it just sounds wonderful. It's just so needed in the community. I was so excited to see it, and you've got a great group of people helping you out. So
we really do. And I think there's one message hard to keep getting out to everybody. We are not pulling from your local society. We are feeding the local societies, because I think part of the population that we'll attract will be those people who don't know what you really get from your local society. And your local society has things that they offer that we can't.
Right.
Your local society knows what records are the best locally and where to get them and who do you talk to about them. They have people that can mentor you in those specific record sets. We don't have that. So we are really encouraging people that you still are going to go to your local society if it's an option.
Right.
And if going isn't an option, please still become a member, because you will get access to their publications, their announcements. And so I think it's really important. The board of directors have all been really, really good about making sure we tell people we are not replacing it. This is not either or. This is and.
This is just a supplement. Absolutely. Yes. And I love that message. I love that message, because you do want people to join and be a part of their local societies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, as much as possible. So does anybody else have any questions before we wrap this up for tonight? Anybody? All righty. But So grateful that you came because I am
This was fun. This was so fun.
excited. Well, you should just join us anytime you would like to
Now that I know how.
Now that you know how, yeah, we're all good. We're easy. So just a bunch of Gen friends. So
That's right.
We would love to have you come join us again.
I would like that.
And let's just encourage everybody to get on. Let everybody give the website address again and let everybody know where to go.
Yep, it's Virtual Gen Soc. So it's virtualgensoc.com.
So everybody, click on that link and join. And is the discount still
Yeah,
good?
we had a discount during NGS, and now it's back to $20. But FGS is right around the corner.
So
yeah,
that's a
not
hint.
saying, but
you may want to wait just a couple more weeks, and then it'll be
a little bit.
But here's the thing: if you wait till then, you'll miss your June and July webinars.
That's true, though.
And for $20, the amount of webinars per month you're getting,
that's a steal.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're averaging right now 2 to 3. Our aim is 3. We want to have 3, and we want to have them at 3 different times because we're global. So we want to be able to let our Australia friends, and our Israel friends, we want them to be able to log in at least once a month. Right. So with these 3 different times, I think we're doing really good at that. So.
I love that idea. I was looking at that, and I love the fact that they're going to be at different times. So
and if you can't make it, they'll be recorded. So we'll have them on the website for 6 months.
Yeah, that's fabulous. Great. I love that idea. I love it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for the tidbits on long lost family, and especially Katherine, thank you so much for coming and talking to us tonight. I'm so excited about everything that you're doing, and I'm just waiting for it to continue growing. So we will see you next time on Gen Friends. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye.